All right, so our objective this time is to try to port the iframe menu into the Svelte menu. So this is the iframe menu and this is the Svelte menu. The iframe menu, you can click on different entities and modify their components. Currently in the Svelte side, you can click on these and you can't edit these yet. So right now, let's try to make gradual improvement on this. So on the Svelte side, we have some components, entity list, and whenever you're highlighting, when you click on it, we highlight an entity. And then if the entity is highlighted, like if there's a current entity, then for every component you show something. So we can extract that out into a component. So component. All right. And in here, let's export the data, type of any, no, let, because we don't have it yet. And export the name of the component, which is a string. And in the entity list for every component, now we'll just include a component. So let's import component from component. And then we can take this out and just add component, passing in the data that comes from component data, and name comes from component name, which I think needs to be like this. And in the component, we'll have two divs, and this will be the, oh, it's the type in the data. Sorry, type, show the type, and then JSON.string, define the data. Coming back to the entity list, it is data and type, component type. Let's reload the page, pull up the menu, pull up one of these, and okay, it's getting a little closer. So if we look over here, looking at the grid, all right, so here we're already showing all of the components. Here we only show them when you expand on one each at a time. So this is actually a better user experience. All of them are expanded. So do they agree? 0, -1, yeah. Rotation, X, Z, yeah. Scale, all ones, more or less. Okay, we want to pull that into a form now. So if we get an object, Every object can be displayed as a form field. Let's see, how should we do this? Can we do this? For each object keys, each object keys data as key, and let's do a div for the key, and then show the text input type equals input, and value equal what? The value is data key. Yep. Value type input. Input type is text. There we go. What does that look like? Okay. Looking closer. I see now why it's a bit unwieldy. It's so wide and it doesn't scroll. At least this scrolled, so if it went too far down, you could scroll. This div should be scrollable. So entity list, container height 100%, container. Make div scrollable. Overflow scroll. Excellent. Okay, that's cool. Now if I edit this, nothing's going to happen. You have to put them in a form and then add an onChange event maybe. So if we do a form on change, on change. First of all, prevent default, and then do something for me. What should we do? The name here should be key. Okay, the name here is X type. Never mind the style, that's injected by LastPass, I think. And the value is where's the value? It's interesting, it doesn't show the value here. But it's coming out in the form. Okay. So what happens on change? We want to on change get values of the form. So what do we get in here? Event, I guess. Console.log event JSON stringify the event. What do we get? Get value. Okay, JS on change event get form values. target value, target value. This is the target. The target is nothing there. Event. Event target value. There's no value on it. Let's ask Svelte. Svelte get form change values. Input value equals the name. And change that. That's not changing anything. Then you do a bind value there. Okay. And now it's hooked up. Okay. So normally they do a two-way binding. Group inputs. Okay. Bind. Handle submit. Selected. So here in this on change, they're changing a variable here. Yes. Okay. I want to change the whole component though. You can bind the properties inside in each block. So type checkbox bind check. Okay, so you bind it. And then you could submit the data, right? So we have this data coming in as this data. So if we do binding, bind value, data dot key, no, data key, each object as each to do as to do dot done type data dot. That's a bit different because it's an object, not an array. But maybe it'll bind it. Let's see. And so I want you to console log what the data is. So if we do this, and we do this, and we do this, and do this, and change that, change focus. Data is 3, blah 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 blah. This then 2 becomes that, and this becomes that. Okay. And then we can submit that along to a change. We could also come over here to, let's see, this is grid. Let's go to cone. I want to change the color of the cone to 0 FF. Change the focus, that becomes a new value. Yeah. It kind of works. So how do we want to submit this? So currently over here, when we make a change, we're not submitting it through the form because it's a Phoenix live view. So when we make a change here, what is it doing? So we can go to the live view and space edit live, and we have this form component HTML. So no, sorry, not that one. Should be this one. So anytime something changes here, Phoenix change, we get a component change. We get a component change event. And polymorph embeds for the component form. Okay, so we're sending the ID, the type. Okay, so we should send the ID and the type as well. Send us the ID. Send us the ID. Export let ID is some string. And then we'll have all of these things that this end has. This end has space edit live. and component change. It receives that on a component payload. It finds the component and then it applies some action update, and then it will update some things. Okay, I feel like we should have an API, like a web-enabled GraphQL API that allows you to access all of these things. So you don't have to go through this menu or this menu, but that we can affect things in the scene. So maybe in the next scene we'll create a GraphQL endpoint that supports APIs for changing color, getting a list of entities, etc. And maybe this can actually use that API as well.